Be ready. 5 seconds. Climate change is real. It is happening now as I speak. It is no more a talk of the past that climate change will occur if actions are not mindful. In fact, the pandemic has shown it. The spread of the virus has triggered an unprecedented worldwide response composed of rigorous social distancing, bans, ambitious economic packages, and programs for vaccination, and for a while it has eclipsed all other crises, including climate change. But climate change cannot be put in the back burner. Now, it is a moment for mobilization against the climate crisis. We saw examples of healing of nature during lockdowns, which, though very short-lived, saw a rebound. We all know Delhi's AQI improved during lockdown. Even the health of River Ganga has seen significant improvement during lockdown. I do not say that we have to go back to lockdown, but we have to be mindful. If the world waits for climate change to trigger an impact similar to COVID-19, it will be too late. Given the threat of climate change on human society and economy, action against climate change should have been already underway. Climate change will increasingly have dramatic effects on poverty, inequality, as well as human and ecosystem well-being. The impacts will furthermore affect the disadvantaged and vulnerable population through food insecurity, higher food prices, income losses, losing livelihood opportunities, adverse health impacts, and population displacements. So, fighting climate change requires a collaborative approach in all spheres of society. It has to be top-down at macro level and awareness at micro level. In our villages, among the tribals and women, we see a lot of sustainable practices. So, our micro-level handling will not be a problem. If it is to redress the inequalities linked to climate change, its response must also see significant support from high-income countries towards the rest of the world because they have the resources. It must also heavily redirect resources towards local sustainable activities, including education, health, sustainable agriculture, renewable energy, and circular management of resources. A just transition to sustainable model of development would be beneficial from a socio-economic perspective. It would create a large amount of local employment, reduce exposure to volatile, expensive and largely imported fossil fuels, bring innovation and generate vast savings from improvement in human and ecosystem health. In addition, the solutions to decarbonize are largely available and in most cases cost-effective also. We should also learn from the indigenous people constituting about 5% of the world population. Indigenous people are vital stewards of the environment. Traditional indigenous territories encompass 22% of the world's land surface but 80% of the planet's biodiversity. A third of global forests crucial for curbing gas emissions are primarily managed by indigenous people, families, stakeholders, local communities. Indigenous foods are also particularly nutritious, climate resilient, and well adapted to their environment, making them a good source of nutrients in climate-changed areas. Their ways of life and their livelihoods can teach us a lot about preserving natural resources, growing food in sustainable ways, and living in harmony with nature. Mobilizing the expertise that originates from this heritage and these historic legacies is important for addressing the challenges facing climate change today and also in the future. Here are 6 of the many ways in which indigenous people are helping the world to combat the climate change. Their traditional agricultural practices are resilient to climate change. They conserve and restore forests and natural resources. Indigenous foods expand and diversify diets. Indigenous foods are resilient to climate change. Indigenous territories hold 80% of the world's biodiversity. Indigenous people's lifestyles are locally adapted and respectful of natural resources. India is much ahead of these things. The pressure to speed up mitigation and adaptation is at an all-time high. India is doing well under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi in achieving its mitigation commitments of reducing emission intensity and enhancing renewable capacity. India is targeting 450 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity by 2030, and it has launched mega solar and green hydrogen missions. To strengthen adaptation and resilience, India can do the following. First, it can be well prepared for climate change with high-quality meteorological data. With improved early warning systems and forecasting, we can tackle the crisis better. Second, for sustainable production system, it is necessary to develop well-functioning markets for environment-friendly products and disseminate them for the desired behavioral change. Third, it is important to encourage private sector participation for investment in adaptation technology and for designing and implementing innovative climate service and solution in areas such as agriculture, health, infrastructure, insurance, and risk management. Fourth, we need to protect mangroves and forests to address climate-related risks by blending traditional knowledge with scientific evidence and encourage local and state actors to actively participate. Fifth, major social protection schemes must be climate-proofed. We have an opportunity to create resilient infrastructural assets, diversify the economy, and enhance the adaptive capacity of rural households. Lastly, for continuous monitoring and evaluation, effective feedback mechanisms must be developed for mid-course correction. Periodic fine-tuning of state action plan on climate change is crucial to systematically understand micro-level sensitivity, plan resource allocation, and design response to serve different levels of intensity of climate hazards. The time for tackling billions is over. The 1.5-degree report tells us that we have time till 2028 to turn things around. We have to do better than what we are doing now. But that is not impossible. The solutions are in fact there. We need to focus on adaptation and innovations. The finance is available. It is not difficult to find finance. It is about creating a narrative of hope and positivity and working in partnership with others who really want to do something meaningful and are not just in it for a fast buck. Otherwise, in some years, the planet as we know it will not exist. Some people have woken up to this reality. Some people are waking up, and the sooner they do it, the better it is for the world.